Here's something strange about your own brain. The second your room goes quiet and dark, your thoughts don't fade, they get louder. Every awkward thing you said, every unfinished task, suddenly turned up to full volume. It's not a flaw, and it's not because you're bad at relaxing. Tonight I'm going to show you why silence is the exact cue that wakes your mind up, and a slow 3-step wind down that lets your racing thoughts stand down on their own, without you having to fight a single one. By the end of this video, you'll have a routine you can do in bed, in the dark, with your eyes closed. And the third step is the one almost nobody does. It's small, it takes barely a breath, and it's the piece that makes the whole thing actually stick. Stay with me. Let's slow everything down together. Before we begin, 2 small things. If you find a quiet corner of the internet like this helps you breathe a little slower, subscribe. I release a new calm session like this every week, and I'd love for the next one to find you right when you need it. And here's the one I'm genuinely curious about. Tell me in the comments, what's the thought that shows up the moment your head hits the pillow? Just naming it out loud here already loosens its grip a little. Now, stay with me all the way to the end, because the 3 steps build on each other. The breath only works once you've done the thing before it, and the card you'll write for yourself at the end is what ties the whole night together. Get comfortable. You don't have to do anything yet but listen. So why does this happen? Why does your mind get louder the instant the lights go off? Here's what's actually going on. All day, your brain is flooded with input, screens, voices, tasks, things to look at. That flood keeps a part of your brain busy. The moment the room goes dark and silent, that input disappears and your brain does not interpret quiet as safe. For most of human history, stillness at night was when something could go wrong, so your brain fills the silence the only way it knows how, by scanning for problems. With nothing in front of you to solve, it reaches backward, into memory, and pulls up every unfinished thing, every mistake, every worry. Silence isn't calming your mind, for your nervous system. Silence is the cue to start the night watch. So the problem was never that you can't relax. The problem is your brain thinks it has a job to do, and we're about to give it a better one. Now here's the trap almost everyone falls into. When that loop starts, what's the first thing you do? You try to shut it off. Stop thinking about it. Just go to sleep. Don't think about that. And it gets louder. There's a reason for that, and it's almost cruel. To not think about something, your brain has to hold up a picture of the exact thing you're avoiding, just to check that you're successfully not thinking about it. Try it right now, for 5 seconds. Do not picture a white bear. You pictured the bear. You can't help it. The act of pushing a thought away keeps a quiet little monitor running in the background, constantly asking, "Is it gone yet?" And every check drags the thought right back into the spotlight. So the harder you shove, the more present it becomes. This is the first thing to let go of tonight. You cannot win this by fighting, but there's something you can do instead. Here's the shift that changes everything. You can't think your way to a quiet mind, because thinking is the noise. So we stop trying to empty your head. That's impossible, and instead we give your brain one small job it can actually finish. Your mind clings to anything unfinished. Psychologists noticed this long ago. A waiter can remember a complicated order perfectly right up until the bill is paid, and then it vanishes from memory the moment it's complete. Unfinished things stay loud. Finished things go quiet. That open, unfinished feeling is exactly what keeps you awake. A dozen little loops your brain refuses to close. So the whole routine tonight is built on one idea: close the loops, or at least convince your brain they are handled, and it will finally let you rest. 3 steps. The first parks the thoughts on paper. The second slows your body, and the third, the one almost no one does, catches the spiral the instant it starts. Let's begin with your hands. Step 1. By your bed, you want something to write on: a notebook, a single sheet, the back of an envelope. It doesn't matter. When the loop starts, you're going to do the opposite of fighting it. You're going to give it a name, in ink. Write the thought down in plain words. Not a neat journal entry, just the raw thing. I'm worried I'd upset her today. I have to call the bank tomorrow. I don't know how I'll afford this. Here's the mechanism. A worry held only in your head has to be actively kept alive by your working memory, looping so you don't forget it. The moment it exists on paper, your brain is allowed to stop carrying it. The paper is holding it now, so the loop can quiet down. We call it name it and park it, and naming is the first half. You've taken the thought out of the dark and set it on the page. But naming alone isn't enough. There's a second half that does the real work. Here's the second half, and it's the part people skip. Under each worry, write one, just one, next physical action. Not the solution. Not a plan to fix your whole life at midnight. The single smallest next step: call the bank becomes find the number after coffee. I upset her becomes text her in the morning to check in. Why does this work? Remember the unfinished loop that keeps you awake? Your brain treats a clear, decided next action almost as if the thing is already handled. The loop isn't open anymore. It's parked, with a time and a place, waiting for you. You're not solving it tonight. You're promising your brain you'll solve it then. And if this is landing for you, take 1 second to subscribe. It's the easiest way to let the next session find you. Now the page is full and the loops are parked. Your mind is quieter already, but your body is still running fast, and that's what we come next. Step 2. We talk to your body directly because your racing heart doesn't understand words. It understands breath. This is the fastest tool we have, and it's called the physiological sigh. Here's exactly how. Breathe in through your nose, and then, before you breathe out, sip in a second short breath, a little top up on top of the first, so your lungs are completely full. Then let it go slowly through your mouth, a long, unhurried exhale, longer than the inhale. That's 1. Let's do it together now. Inhale through the nose, a second sip to fill the top, and a long, slow release. Do that 2 or 3 times and you'll often feel your shoulders drop and your heartbeat ease within about a minute. This isn't mystical. That double inhale reopens tiny collapsed air sacs in your lungs and clears out built-up carbon dioxide, and the long exhale is the actual off switch. Why the exhale, specifically? That's the part worth understanding. Here's why a long exhale calms you. and once you understand this, you'll never breathe the same way before bed again. Your heart isn't beating at one steady speed. It actually speeds up a little every time you breathe in, and slows down a little every time you breathe out. That's normal and healthy. When you inhale, your body taps the accelerator. When you exhale, it taps the brake, through a nerve called the vagus nerve that runs from your brain down to your heart. So the secret is almost embarrassingly simple. If you make your exhale longer than your inhale, you spend more time on the brake than the accelerator, and your nervous system shifts toward rest. You don't need a perfect count, but if you like numbers, try breathing in for about 4 and out for about 6 or 8. Long out breath every time. Let's take one more together. In slowly and out even slower, all the way to empty. Feel that. That's your body downshifting. Now, 2 steps done, but the loudest moments need a third. Step 3. This is the one I promised you, the one almost nobody does, and it's the quiet hero of the whole routine. Here's the problem it solves. When the spiral really hits, you are in no state to invent calming thoughts on the spot. Your thinking brain has stepped back, and trying to reason with panic just feeds it. So you don't compose anything in the moment. You decide your words now, while you're calm, and you keep them ready. A comfort script, one short, true, soothing line you repeat the instant the spiral starts. Keep it gentle and believable. Not everything is perfect. Your mind won't buy that. Something like, I'm safe right now. This is just my brain on night watch. Nothing has to be solved tonight. Pick yours and let it be the same line every time, so it becomes worn in and familiar. Some people rest a hand gently against their cheek or ear as they repeat it, a small physical anchor that tells the body, I'm here. But there's a reason a repeated phrase works on a racing mind, and it's beautifully simple. Here's why repeating one line quiets the storm. Your worry loop runs on an inner voice. It's a verbal process, words narrating words, the same channel you'd use to talk out loud. There's only so much room on that channel. When you fill it on purpose, slowly and deliberately, with your one comfort line, there's simply less space left for the spiral to narrate. You're not arguing with the anxious thoughts, you're gently occupying the microphone they were using. This is the same reason a song you hum can crowd out a worry, or why counting can interrupt a panic. Try humming a low, soft note right now. Feel how it fills your head and there's no room for much else. That gentle buzz also lengthens your exhale and lightly vibrates the airways near that calming nerve we just talked about. So your script does 2 jobs at once. It takes the microphone and it carries the breath. One simple sentence, doing the work of many. Now, how do you make sure you actually use any of this at 2 in the morning? Here's the honest problem. At 2 in the morning, in the dark, mid-spiral, you will not remember any of this. That's not weakness. A stressed brain loses access to new routines exactly when it needs them most. So we don't rely on memory. Tonight, while you're calm, take a small card, an index card, a torn piece of paper, anything, and write your 3 steps on it in your own hand. Line 1. Name it and park it, the worry and the one next action. Line 2. The breath, 2 inhales, 1 long exhale. Line 3. Your comfort line, written out in full so you don't have to think of it. Then prop that card against your lamp, or tuck it under the edge of your clock, somewhere your hand finds it without turning on a bright light. When the night gets loud, you don't have to be clever or strong. You just reach over and follow the card, one line at a time. The thinking is already done. But a card only becomes a habit one way. So here's your 7-night plan, and the secret is this: you practice when you're calm, not only when you're falling apart. A routine you only ever try in crisis will always feel clumsy. But when you've rehearsed feels like coming home. Nights 1 and 2, do the whole thing once before sleep even if you feel fine. Write a worry and its next action. 3 physiological sighs, your comfort line, just to lay the path. Nights 3 to 5, you'll notice the breath starting to work faster and your script beginning to feel automatic, like words you already own. By nights 6 and 7, you likely won't need the card for the breath at all. Your body will remember. You're not forcing sleep on any of these nights. You're planting a path your mind can find in the dark, so that on the hard nights, it's already there, worn smooth and waiting. 7 nights to turn 3 small steps into something your nervous system does for you. And here's the deepest part of all of this. Here's the deepest part, the thing I most want you to keep. You were never trying to win silence tonight. A perfectly empty mind isn't the goal. Honestly, it isn't even possible, and chasing it is what kept you awake in the first place. Every step we did has the same secret shape. It hands your brain one small, finishable job. Naming the worry, a job, done. Parking the next action, a job, done. The long exhale, the repeated line, small, complete things your mind can hold and finish. And a brain that has just finished something doesn't need to keep scanning the dark. The most common mistake is doing the breath but skipping the page. You calm your body while the loop is still wide open, and minutes later it pulls you right back under. So close the loops first, then breathe. You don't quiet your mind by force. You quiet it by giving it something gentle to complete, and then letting go. Let's let this whole day go now, together, one slow breath out. So that's your wind down. When the room goes quiet and your thoughts get loud, remember, it's just your brain on night watch, looking for a job. So you give it good ones. Name the worry and park its next action on paper. 2 inhales and 1 long, slow exhale to drop your heart rate. And your one comfort line, ready before you need it, written on a little card by your bed, practiced over 7 gentle nights. I release a new calm session like this every week, so if your evenings feel a little softer for being here, subscribe and let the next one find you. Next time, I'll show you the one small change to the last hour before bed that quietly tells your brain the day is truly over. Most people get this exactly backwards. Tell me in the comments, what's the one thought that shows up the second your head hits the pillow? I read them, and you might just see yours in a future session. Sleep gently tonight. I'm so glad you're here. Mind in Bloom.
Follow for a new calm reset every night. Mind in Bloom.